Hey YouTube, in this video we're going to be looking at some strong Ultra League teams for you to test out this week if you want to play Ultra League. So if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. We put out a bunch of teams every single day for the various leagues that are on. And if you are a returning subscriber, you may be looking at the teams and thinking, didn't I just see this 2 weeks ago? You sure did, and stay tuned for the after video Dan chat to discuss why you're seeing these again. Let's start with team number 1. A subscriber put this in: Annihilape, Guzzlord, Florges. So ABB style team where you're trying to draw out a fairy with Annihilape, and then so the Guzzlord doesn't need to see it because Guzzlord is double weak to fairy. Now, when I saw this team, I said, well, if you're going to try to draw out a fairy, you might want something better than like a fairy to deal with it, right? So that's one option. I understand that you are also like, there's not like, they don't. You're trying to draw out a fairy, but they don't share the same typing, so you can draw out other Pokemon, right? So, like Annihilape is also weak to Ghost. Guzzlord is also weak to Fighting. So you need like a sort of all-encompassing Pokemon that can deal with sort of everything. And Florges is generally a strong Pokemon, right? Steals are going to be an issue, but outside of that, you can do pretty well against a lot of things. Pidgeot, Cresselia, Zygarde. So do you have a bunch of level 50 or legendary Pokemon that you want to play with? This is a team. Pidgeot there's 2 top flying Pokemons in the Ultra League. Pidgeot and Talonflame. Those are number 1 and 2. You can put them in whatever order you want. I love Pidgeot in the Ultra League. I think it is so strong on the lead because you have a fast wing attack that you can either Brave Bird and Bail, which you have 2 very, very bulky Pokemon in the back. You can easily bail to absorb damage on those. Or you can like Feather Dance and lower their attack times 2 and then put them in a really awkward position of like, do I want to throw a 2 times lowered attack? Which is why Pidgeot's so strong. Cresselia has been one of the OG safe swaps in Ultra League since like Season 1. It just has that combination of bulk and great coverage moves, right? In the day, Swampert was one of your go-to Ultra League Pokemon, so you had Grass Knot for that. And Giratina is the other main safe swap in this meta, and you have Moonblast for that. So just a very, very safe Pokemon. Zygarde. Zygarde is new. It is rare. I've got like 6 cells because I do not too many roots. But if you have one built up, it's very unique Pokemon in the ground Dragon. Dragon is generally one of the stronger typings. Just with the raw damage of like the dragon moves. And you have that nice ground secondary typing, like Earthquake is a nice getting stab on that secondary move for like your steals that would otherwise resist the Dragon Tail. This was a team that I say this every time I show this team. I love this team just because it truly is one of the safest meta teams you can get. Giratina, Tapu Fini, Greedent. All like top 15 sort of ranked Pokemon in the Ultra League, and maybe not Greedent, but I think Greedent's probably one of the better safe swaps in the Ultra League. You have Giratina, OG, super spammy with the claws and sneaks and dragon claws. Tapu Fini getting Nature's Madness was a huge improvement for that Pokemon. And then Greedent as a safe swap. Greedent only weak to fighting. You have 2 answers for fighting. Giratina weak to ice. Tapu will resist ice. Tapu weak to grass. Giratina resists grass. It's just like they truly just cover all each other's weaknesses extremely well balanced, tons of bulk, spammy. The damage adds up very quickly. Typhlosion, Feraligatr, and Cresselia. So I already talked about Cresselia being super, super bulky and why it is strong in the Ultra League. Typhlosion and Feraligatr are those 2 Pokemon that got buffs in the last couple seasons, right? Feraligatr got Shadow Claw, and Typhlosion got the Thunder Punch bait. The Thunder Punch bait gives you some coverage on like flyers, but it's mostly just like if you can like bait that move and then land a Blast Burn, that's where your sort of bread and butter is. Plus Incinerate got buffed too, right? So it just kind of got multiple buffs. Feraligatr getting Shadow Claw went from completely irrelevant to top meta in Great League and Ultra League. Just how Shadow Claw is one of the best fast moves in the game, right? There's a few fast moves in terms of damage per energy and energy gained that it just Shadow Claw is like one of the best. So having that with a Community Hydro Cannon, which is one of the best charge moves in the game, makes it a very deadly Pokemon. So 2 Community Day hard hitting Pokemon with a very bulky Pokemon to try and absorb shields. Dragonite, Golisopod, Stunfisk. This is, again, I always say this. I use Stunfisk because I did not have a Registeel. If you have a Registeel, use Registeel instead of Stunfisk. Way better. But if you don't, Stunfisk is a fine alternative. Dragonite. In my opinion, Shadow Dragonite is the best dragon in this meta. Now, some will argue... I mean, okay. Second behind Giratina. Giratina is the best dragon. I would say second. Some will argue Guzzlord. I think it's Dragonite because I think that half flying is a kind of nice secondary typing on Dragonite, and then you just have the raw damage of Dragon Breath, and then do not underestimate how strong that superpower is or having coverage on steals there. And then Golisopod as the safe swap. Golisopod, I kind of mention this every time I do an Ultra League video. I think there are so many good safe swaps in Ultra League, and you're going to see a couple more coming up. Golisopod is another one. You got that Shadow Claw and then like quick Aerial Ace and Liquidation that can really add up over time here. Shadow Zapdos, Poliwrath, Licky. I love using Shadow Zapdos. I've used Shadow Zapdos before it got a bump. It didn't get a move bump. It got a meta bump. And what I mean by that is there's now a lot more Feraligatrs and Poliwraths in this meta and Annihilapes. So to have more counter users and water users in this meta makes Zapdos that much better. Now I love using Zapdos because it is a glass cannon. It is so glassy, but man, it really is strong. Poliwrath is your... Or I have two sort of safe swaps on the same. Poliwrath and Licky. Like I said, lots of good safe swaps in the Ultra League. Poliwrath and Licky can kind of both be good safe swaps. I put them together because Zapdos can have problems with a few Pokemon. The main one being like your ground steel, so you have nothing for, which is where Poliwrath comes in. And then Giratina is going to be a little tough. You can only hit with Drill Peck. So that's where a normal typing with a Lick and Shadow Ball comes into play there. But you can use other normal typings. If you don't have that, like Greedent, you can use Double. Like there's a lot of other normal typings that fit the safe swap bill. And then this one I will focus on the two that I haven't talked about, Ampharos and Sandslash. I think Ampharos is the best electric, honestly, in this meta. Some will argue Magnezone. But if you want one that actually has great coverage and feels safe, Ampharos is your only one that I would feel really confident using as a safe swap. And that's what is acting on this team. The Volt Switch really add up, and then you have that Brutal Swing coverage for Giratina and Cresselia, and it's just a really nice second move to have on an electric Pokemon. And then Sandslash, great answer for flyers. Great answer for, if anything, that they don't have answers to Steel, that you can just resist a ton of moves. Steel typing has a ton of resistances, which is huge. And then you have that drill run for Steels. And the last one here is... I'll just talk again. I'll just talk about Talonflame because Talonflame is the best flyer, second best flyer, I think, behind Pidgeot, 1A, 1B, Talonflame. Incinerate got a buff. Fly now having a better moveset as opposed to Brave Bird, and can Flame Charge to ramp up there. So those are the teams. If you want to look at the Fossil Cup, I put out teams for that this morning. If you're wondering, like, why did you just go over the same teams that you did 2 weeks ago? Well, let me tell you. And unfortunately, we are now getting into the Dan Chat random YouTube talk that it goes with. That you have to analyze this. So if you don't care about that, hit that thumbs up and go play GBL. If you do want to just listen why we put out these top teams every week, let me show you the wonders that is YouTube. So, the YouTube game is tricky. There's certain keywords and titles and thumbnails that work really well in GBL. So if we look at anything that talks about wins, like getting lots of wins, you can do well here. So that's why you'll see stuff like an OG team gets a lot of wins. And then when you go over here, I'll just go to the views. There we go. That works better. You can see like well above some of these other ones. And then anytime you use like insane, just talks about how like strong it is. That's what works well. Other content creators are anytime you use the word legend, anytime you use the word like lots of elo gain, and anytime you use like top ranked Pokemon, number 1 in the world, like Yonkis is notorious for this. Every other video, number 1 ranked team in the world, because those get clicks. Now, the thing that gets clicks the most is top teams, right? So you got, right? So I talked about this one, 10 straight legend teams. That's why this one's at 7,400. But the top teams always get huge upticks in views. So here is 6,200, 6,900 for the Great League and Fantasy Cup. And then when we go down, it's just like kind of like 3,000 range, 2,200 range. And then you go, here we go. Best Great League teams, 1,100. Best Ultra League teams, 5,200. So it's just an automatic bump because people are looking for these top teams. And when the league turns over, basically how a video works is it's basically got a shelf life of like 4 hours, essentially. So you got like huge peaks at the beginning of people watching. And then after 3 to 4 hours, it kind of goes down. And then you'll get like some ticks of subscribers who want to watch that video as it goes on. And then sometimes you'll get like random people clicking on it during the past. But in general, it's just put out teams, put out to stuff like my secret weapon. There's a good one. But otherwise, it's like just top safe swap, 2,700, Jirachi's 2,000. And then you find the next, oh yeah, this was when I went to New York, but then you find the next top teams. Oh yeah, best Great League remix, 14,000, right? So it's not even close how well those do. And they also help in terms of like greeting new people on the channel. So that's why I put them out every week. I wouldn't want to put them out every week, but there's 2 things that come with putting them out. The guaranteed subscribers that click on any video of mine, and if you're watching this long and hearing me talk about this, you are one of the loyal subscribers who do that, right? Because if you're staying through to the Dan rant talking portion of this, you are most likely a very loyal subscriber who just like clicks on every video. So it's one of those that like if I put out a video, even if it's 20 minutes of hot garbage, some people just click. And the other thing is YouTube videos, I talked about how there's like a dip in views. YouTube videos very rarely recommend older videos of like 2 weeks old. So I did a Best Ultra League team, basically, this is remix, but I did like a Best Ultra League team like 2 weeks ago. But it's very unlikely that if people are doing search that YouTube would even recommend a 2-week-old video. They really want the sort of newer stuff there, which is why I continue to have to put out, even though they're just repeats, because not a lot of people actually play Ultra League. They play a lot of Great League. That is why you get a lot of the repeats of videos. So every Friday, every league turnover day, I will put out top teams because, again, that is a huge portion of my increase in views and getting new subscribers to the channel. So that's just a little behind the scenes of why we do that. But I appreciate you clicking on them and watching it, even though they are repeats. So that is basically it. That's the YouTube game. Hope you learned something. If you didn't learn anything new about Ultra League teams, I hope you learned something new about YouTube game. But yeah, it's not even like, just go watch all the content creators. Everyone has their own strategy of how they get it. But it's very funny, like when you know the game, watching how others play the game, right? And again, you can look at this from even like the larger Pokemon Go perspective, like about shinies and hundos. Like those are the sort of keywords that get views on like those who actually like go and raid and stuff. And then from the GBL perspective, anyone who does like teams, like went on an insane run, crazy wins, hitting legend, number 1 team in the world, those are the ones that are just clearly like they're clickbait. It's real, don't get me wrong. It's not like they're making this up. They do actually like look at the top team that is used by the number 1 ranked in the world. They do go on these great 13-2 runs, but they're putting it in there because they're clickbaiting you into watching the video 100%. But that is unfortunately the game that we play in this digital not clickbait, like view, I don't know what I'm saying. That's how we get views nowadays, unfortunately, and views run the world. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for listening to all that garbage. See you guys in the next one.